If there is something here, please, talking to the camera, do something to let me know that you're here, all right? They say that you've been asking for me, so I expect you to at least talk to me now that I'm here.
When you're a witch and a mom, you learn to do witchcraft around your kids. So we are going to be involving my 4-year-old for the 35 sweetening rituals that we have scheduled for today. And we have a bunny with us because why not? Here is our setup for today. We have the beginnings of the abundance jar, the sweet and life jar.
We have been taught and reminded by the exorcists that curiosity is not a virtue, especially when it comes to the occult and demonic. And then, I saw this post on Instagram, and upon seeing it, I feel like I have to share this clip of Father Lampert with all of you who's listening.
Is it possible for a Christian to become possessed? And my point was, if you're wearing the label of Christian, but you're not really living the faith, then it is possible that you could get possessed. Because again, you're not really living out the faith. You're just saying I'm a Christian, but you're not, you may be talking the talk, but you're not walking the walk. But if one is walking the walk when it comes to their Christian faith, the devil is nothing to fear whatsoever. Demons aren't free to do whatever they want. They're still on a chain or a leash, if you will. If they had a free reign, the world would be even more chaotic than it already is. So whatever they do, God has to permit it. Then we could ask the question, why is God permitting this? And it's good for people to remember that the devil was cast out of heaven, but he wasn't cast out of creation. God can still use the devil and his demons for God's greater purposes.
And when it comes to all this curiosity about the paranormal, ghost hunters and paranormal investigators always come to mind. The problem is they're doing everything they can to invite the demonic into their lives. And then once they succeed, they start freaking out when everything around them turns chaotic.
If there is something here, please, talking to the camera, do something to let me know that you're here, all right? They say that you've been asking for me, so I expect you to at least talk to me now that I'm here. Okay, so the thing in front of me moving right now on the table is called a box. And what a box is it is supposed to have a demon inside of it. And I bought this basically to disprove it, that it wasn't real. But I made a joke, and I told the thing, I said, if you were inside of this box, let's see you make it move. Did you see that? Oh my God! I've never seen anything like this. I thought it was a joke, man. No, I've not opened it to see if there's something mechanical inside the box or not. And I'm kind of spazzing out because I'm the only one here. I have neighbors upstairs, and if you hear walking around, that's what that is. But they go into a completely different way, and this is just so freakish. What was that? Okay, so the camera was face down and turned off when I came back in. I ran out the front door, and whatever it was actually came into the kitchen and tore it all to pieces. The cabinet doors are open. There's stuff on the floor. I don't know.
Did you know that the punishment for demons in hell varies depending on how hesitant or deliberate they were in rebelling against God? Just listen to this for a second.
John the Evangelist, who wrote the book of Revelation, talks about the war in heaven. So does the book of Daniel. Ezekiel talks about this as well. So a third of the stars, St. John the Evangelist in his book of Revelation reports, fell. And the early church fathers interpreted stars to mean not just stars, but also the angels. Where did they go? According to the letter of Peter in the New Testament, not the gospel, the letter of Peter. They went to a place, he calls it in Greek, Tartaros, which according to Greek myth, it's a Greek mythological pagan word. It's the underworld, the netherworld, which was never clearly defined by the Greeks. But according to some Greek writers, which were pagan, they didn't believe in the divinity. Most people are surprised from that. Plato, Socrates, they were considered ethical writers, but they were pagan writers. They believed in many gods, right? And Socrates then, of course, challenged that, took the hemlock juice instead of being killed. But the Greeks believed in this place called Tartarus, which we can say in Hebrew is similar to Hades, or in Greek, Gehenna. They had a name, Gehenna, they had a name Tartarus, but Peter uses Tartarus because it specifically refers to several Greek accounts. It's the netherworld. Some say it had suffering, some said it was doom and gloom and darkness. So it's open to different interpretations. Nonetheless, Peter says they went to this place awaiting for the judgment. You should say, wait a minute, weren't they judged when they were cast down from heaven? Yes, they were. Peter's referring to the final general judgment. So when we die, we experience what's called a particular judgment when the soul leaves the body. And the two councils of the Catholic Church, Lyons and Florence, both stated that immediately after the soul leaves the body, it is judged particularly, and it goes to its place of destiny, heaven, hell, or purgatory. But then it awaits the final judgment when all bodies will resurrect and all will be judged, including angels and humans and all other rational beings. So Peter's referring to them waiting to be generally, not particularly judged. Okay, they've already been judged, and that judgment does not change. The Council of Trent made it clear as a doctrine of the Church that the particular judgment cannot and will not vary from the general judgment, and vice versa. So they went to hell, the angels. According to the writings of Anne Catherine Emmerich, she said some went to different planets and are exercising their influence from these planets, including the moon. This is the writings of Anne Catherine Emmerich. Now, does it mean they're not in hell? No. They all went to hell, but they bilocate. This is where we get hauntings from. Souls in hell can possess people, they can possess homes, they can infest objects. So just because they're in hell doesn't mean they cannot bilocate. Just as the angels and God can bilocate, so can the demons. And therefore we see, Jesus appearing and disappearing at Emmaus, Bethany, and all these other places, walking through the cenacle doors and then disappearing. The demons could do that too, okay? So they are condemned for all eternity. There's 1/3 to hell. Now, their punishment varies based upon their hesitancy in rebelling or their deliberation in rebelling. God sees all these fine lines that we don't, and he applies the judgment accordingly.
By the way, I have a couple of interviews with exorcists coming up, and I'm still putting together my questions for the priest. I'd love your thoughts on this one. How do people in non-Christian countries, or people who aren't Christians at all, protect themselves from demonic activity if they don't know anything about it through a Christian lens?
I know. I know. I know. I know. I'm over to I know. I know. Anyways.
And coming back to the video of this man earlier, this actually reminds me of a clip of Msgr Rossetti during one of his question and answer sessions at the end of an online deliverance session.
This is a typical question which I get, and I know it's difficult. My mother came back from Mexico and brought something with her that looks like a dream catcher and has it hang in her living room. I asked her to remove it, and she has not as yet done so. So there will be people in your family who are doing things which might be questionable. You got to do the best you can. I mean, obviously we don't want families to be broken apart, but at the same time, you know, if you're living in a house where, for example, someone's practicing witchcraft, I mean, that can have a very negative effect on everyone in the house, whether they intend it or not. So you just got to do your best. In this case, if I were her, I'd throw some holy water on it, you know. So, I would probably say this little symbol, this little artwork piece, I'd probably throw some holy water on it. Can we be attacked by praying for someone who continues to practice the occult? Lots of questions like that. In other words, if I do something, I say prayers, am I opening myself up to an attack? Here's a general rule of thumb. We don't recommend that the laity confront demons facia, which is why the prayers you use are what we call deprecatory prayers. You ask God to cast out the demons. As an exorcist, I will, in certain circumstances, i.e. a possession case, I will face the demonic presence and I'll command them to leave. Now, so there's a difference. But let's say one person was said, I was going, there's this kind of, I think, an evil place, and I wanted to throw some holy water on the streets. Well, frankly, I see no problem with that. The only thing I would be conscious of is, for example, I wouldn't recommend you go to Salem, Massachusetts and start throwing holy water on the streets. You're liable to be cursed by every witch in town. So prudence, but generally speaking, pray to God and to bless things, will be fine. Let's not be too frightened of evil, you know, just trust in Jesus. Jesus is Lord. Satan's dust compared to Jesus. Satan's dust.
Just before we get to the end of this video, just in case you haven't heard this before in that video of the man in the office, he did show the sounds coming from the toilet, and I thought this clip of Father Winston should be shared with all of you again.
In our experience, this is true. So toilets, why toilets? Because underneath the toilets would be your septic tank. And that is all the dirt, all the waste, so evil spirits would like to, in the experience of many exorcists, in the experience of Father Joseph Siquia too, he taught us about this too. And in my own experience, yes, when we do infestations of places, we go to the corners and toilets. They tend to infest those places more, or they tend to stay there more, colonize it more, rather than other parts of the house. But yes, it can be in any part of a building. But we do recognize and experience that it's better for us also to never neglect this, what we call the toilets. Why corner rooms? Well, oftentimes corner rooms have many windows. And so spirits from the outside pass from one window to the other. So they come in and they go out, etc. And from the corner windows, from the corner rooms, they go to other parts of the house, especially spirits coming from the outside. So corner rooms and rooms with many electronic places. So computer rooms, they seem to be attracted to that, probably because people congregate to those places, toilets, In toilets, things happen in toilets. It's not only a person defecating, if I can use that word, other things happen there. So yes, spirits can come. Uh, some people perhaps do other vices inside those places. That's what I can say about it.
Well, I guess that is all for the video this time. Again, thanks so much for your time spent here with us, and hopefully all of you have learned a lot from this one.